stonk insights. This is not financial advice. Today we're going to talk about 3 Bitcoin mining companies. One I've already talked about before and 2 new ones. All 3 of these Bitcoin mining companies represent not the best of the Bitcoin mining companies. All 3 of these companies are facing significant financial troubles, and one of them has actually filed for bankruptcy yesterday. So if you don't know, that one is CORZ Scientific. Like I said, talked about them on this channel before. They have a significant liquidity crunch. Their liabilities are through the roof to the tune of $1.2 billion. And we're going to introduce, like I said, 2 other companies that don't have as significant liabilities as CORZ Scientific, but they are facing significant financial problems. So we're going to look at those companies as well. So if you're new here, I talk about stock, I talk about crypto, I talk about Bitcoin mining companies. So if you're interested in any of those topics, hit that subscribe button. Like this video if you like this video. It does go a long way in helping out the channel, and I do appreciate it. So if you hit that for me, thank you again. So what we're going to do now is just transition to the stock chart, just to look what's going on with these Bitcoin mining companies as a whole. I mean, it's a red day. Okay, so you can see, unlike most of the other days, it's red, but you see CORZ Scientific for some reason is having a huge day. They're up 179% today. Okay, and I just told you that they filed for bankruptcy yesterday. I just checked, I just looked at, as many news releases as I can. They haven't put out anything new since they put out that news release that they're going bankrupt. I'll be interested to see, why are they up 179% today? If you guys know, leave that in the comments down below. I'll be keeping my eye out on it. Let's just take a closer look. So just to keep you up to date, after I made my video on November 30th, CORZ Scientific, they had a little lifeline. B. Riley, an investment bank, they approached CORZ Scientific with some funds, and they stated that, they were going to try to help them get out of this $1.2 billion hole. That news alone caused CORZ Scientific to spike, as you can see here, around 323%, over this short period of time. So, that was astronomical. A little bit of news like that, caused such a big spike. And to make a long story short, that deal fell through. CORZ Scientific is going another way, and they opted to file for bankruptcy. And you see that had a significant downward pressure on the stock, over the short term. But you see, they went all the way down to like 7 cents and something, and now they're up 177% today. So I can't call it. The market is being erratic. CORZ Scientific shouldn't be here, but you see that their stock is just going all over the place. So like I say in all my videos, none of this is financial advice. You got to do your own due diligence. As you can see here, anything can happen. These stocks are just jumping all over the place, especially in this sector of the Bitcoin mining stock. It's just so volatile. There's no way to call it. So we're just going to continue on here to this CoinDesk article. So CORZ Scientific, one of the largest Bitcoin mining companies by computing power, filed for bankruptcy protection on Wednesday and reached a deal with some of its lenders to restructure its debt. So just to pause right there, it does sound like CORZ Scientific wants to remain in business. They don't want to just go completely belly up and just close down the business. They want to remain in business, but they do have all these liabilities that they have to pay off. And in fact, if you remember from my last video, there were some liabilities that they just completely flat out not paid, and they're in complete default. I believe it was like 3 loans or whatnot. So right now they're in a bad position, but they are stating that you do want to still remain in business, not knowing what that business is going to look like in the future, but they do want to keep some shell of a business going. So to continue on, the company filed for Chapter 11 at Southern District of Texas Bankruptcy Court as crypto winter continues to take its toll on the Bitcoin mining industry. The miners' estimated liabilities are between $1 billion and $10 billion. Gotta pause there again, between $1 billion and $10 billion. So we've seen on the balance sheet, $1.2 billion in current liabilities. I didn't see anything that suggested a $10 billion hole for CORZ Scientific. So, both those numbers are huge, but at $10 billion, it's just looking incredibly hard for them to get, claw themselves out. And just to wrap this up, the bankruptcy of CORZ Scientific, which accounts for about 10% of computing power on the Bitcoin network. So this is the hash rate, the Bitcoin mining difficulty. CORZ Scientific adds about 10%, to that with all their miners. They have like 243,000 rigs. I think this is 143,000, and yeah, and 100,000 of their hosted rigs, so 243 total. Obviously, if they go bankrupt, this is going to send shockwaves through the whole industry of Bitcoin mining companies. So this is just monumental. All right, so yeah, that's just an update with CORZ Scientific. So we're going to move on to the next company, and we're going to jump right into their financials. So this is for Greenwich Generation Holdings, ticker symbol GREE. So this is another Bitcoin mining company. They are here in the United States. So, they are fully compliant with the SEC and filings and whatnot. So this is their latest 10Q that was put out in, I believe, September. We're just going to go down and look at their balance sheet here, just to try to get a snapshot of how they're looking. So if you see from December of last year to this year, we can see everything is down across the board. And that is a combination of the price of Bitcoin being down, the price of energy going up, and the Bitcoin mining difficulty being at all-time highs. But we can see that they have less cash on hand, and their total current liabilities have been cut in half. So they went from 100 million down to 54 million in September 30th of 2022. As we can see here, conversely, it was a flip-flop with the liabilities as well. So the current liabilities as of December 31st, 2021 was at 41 million, and we see as of September 30th, 2022 is at 98 million. And we compare the total current liabilities to the total current assets, we can see that they're upside down. It's about a 1 to 2 to total current assets to total current liability. So this is not a good look. This is not healthy. This means that they have more in total current liabilities, and current liabilities are liabilities that they have to meet or be obligated to pay off within the next 12 months. Not good. And we see the bulk of these current liabilities is $73 million in long-term debt. So let's just go into an article that was put out for Greenwich. Bitcoin miner Greenwich reaches debt restructuring deal with NYDIG as bankruptcy looms. Bitcoin mining firm Greenwich Generation came to an agreement with lender NYDIG about restructuring 74.7 million of debt, though a bankruptcy is still on the cards. So just imagine, they're restructuring their debt, they're trying to help out their balance sheet, and they're still in a position to where a bankruptcy can still hit. Cash burn is unsustainable, and the firm's board is engaged in active discussions about potential for and timing of voluntary bankruptcy filings. So let's just back up real quick. We see here that they have about 28 million on the balance sheet as far as cash is concerned, okay? I'm not going to go through this whole article. I just want to get tidbits, the more important parts. So the loan in question had about $74.7 million outstanding as of September 30th prior to reaching a deal with NYDIG. We go back, we see that balance sheet, we see the current liabilities, we see $73 million, so we see the correlation there. To continue, Greenwich had estimated it would have to spend a minimum of $65 million in principal payments throughout 2023. Just moving forward here, during October and November, Greenwich burned through $8 million a month, of which 5.5 million went to NYDIG payments. So again, let's just look at this. They have $28 million on their balance sheet. If they're burning through $8 million per month, that equivocates to about 3 more months to have cash on hand. It expects the same cash burn rate for December, which would put a significant hole through its remaining $22 million of cash and cash equivalents. If Greenwich doesn't secure funding, it may run out of cash in the next 2 months. So, this is big. We're seeing it on the balance sheet. We're seeing what they're putting out. We're seeing that they're burning through $8 million of cash per month. This is unsustainable with only having 28 million on the balance sheet. So as a part of their agreement, Greenwich will host up to 74 megawatts for NYDIG's machines. As of September 30th, Greenwich powered approximately 76 megawatts of mining capacity and produced an estimated aggregate hash rate of 2.4 exahash. The firm owns a 106 megawatt natural gas power plant in New York. To continue, Greenwich will also transfer its coupons with machine manufacturer Bitmain to NYDIG. Within 3 months of the debt restructuring and hosting deals being agreed upon, Greenwich will also transfer machines awaiting deployment to NYDIG and later provide the lender with an additional 39 megawatts of hosting. And just to wrap this all up, the miner has also faced regulatory turbulence in its home state of New York, where environmental concerns led to its air permit renewal being denied this summer. So Greenwich has just been, it's just been having just a downhill 2022. So Greenwich has just been having a downhill 2022. The same case with all these other Bitcoin mining companies. They've just been getting hit on the head when it comes to electricity costs, regulations, just everything's just coming to a head, and you're seeing that capitulation is, coming to fruition. Okay, and to round off the companies today, we're going to talk about Iris Energy, ticker symbol IREN. So Bitcoin miner Iris Energy faces default claim on $103 million of equipment loans. The company has said it will default on Debt Tuesday unless it can reach a restructuring agreement with its lenders. Now, this isn't good. Okay, obviously this is bad, but of the three, this is probably the one that there is some hope within it. Okay, all right, so just to continue, Bitcoin mining firm Iris Energy is facing claims from its lender alleging that it has defaulted on $103 million of equipment loans held by two special purpose vehicles, the company said on Monday. The reason for the notice of default, which the lender sent on the miner on November 4th, is the company failed to engage in good faith restructuring discussions. So because Iris failed to engage in such discussions, the lender is claiming it defaulted on payments originally scheduled for October 25th. So we see that there's two loans in question, one of about $32 million and one about $71 million. So we see that's that $100 million hole they have. The debt is held by two wholly owned non-recourse special purpose vehicles, which it says the meaning here. So in an event of the default, the lender will not be able to seize any of Iris Energy's assets other than the collateral. So that is very, very important. Okay, I think that is a very important point. The non-recourse portion of these special purpose vehicles, they have a clause to where, if they default, Iris Energy's assets will be protected. Now, these loans seem to be, from the lender NYDIG, which we just talked about with Greenwich. So NYDIG is in a lot of cookie jars out there. Obviously, they're a lender to these Bitcoin mining companies, and with them going down, NYDIG is also taking some hits. Okay, and then just further, if an agreement for restructuring the debt is not reached by Tuesday, Iris Energy will not provide further financing support for these special purpose vehicles, likely leading to default and foreclosure of assets. Only 2.4 exahash of the company's machines are unaffected by the equipment loans. So that is a massive point right there. As we look at this Form 6K that they put out, I believe on November 21st. I'm not going to go through this, but basically they said that they're not going to, meet these loans. Okay, they're not going to do it. They had to, shut down these miners. They're defaulting on their loans, which equivocates to them shutting down 72% of their exahash that they have online. Obviously, this is huge. Their exahash is going backwards. 72% of their exahash is no longer active. Now, I did say that, I did see like a small lining within Iris Energy in this whole debacle. And that small sliver of a lining is that, they're no longer hosting these machines within NYDIG, which means, or they're no longer, mining with them, which means that they are going to save in the terms of electricity with those miners. They're going to save in terms of not having to, meet these obligations with those miners. So, like I said, it's a sliver. They're saving, some money, shoring up their cash flows with not having to pay out these other expenses. But I don't think NYDIG is just going to let this go. Obviously, they're going to want their money back in some form or fashion. So, this is going to be something to watch. These three companies here, CORZ Scientific has already went bankrupt. Greenwich has reached some type of, agreement with NYDIG, but it still doesn't appear appear that the cash burn is going to be quelled that much. So it is going to be interesting to watch, what are they going to do, after this restructuring is over with. Are they going to be in a better position to where their cash isn't burning so quickly? And in Iris Energy, they're just not going to, host these miners anymore. So, they cut them down, they cut them off. They have 2.4 still, so they still are running, but obviously, the market didn't like that. The market didn't like to see them cut off 72% of their exahash. So what do you guys think? Are you interested in any of these companies? Are you invested in any of these companies? Are you keeping up with the financials, seeing if they're healthy enough to make it to the next Bitcoin halving? I think you can kind of see what my opinion is at this point in time. And again, I can't call anything, like if you would have invested in CORZ Scientific yesterday when they claimed bankruptcy, you would be up 174% right now. So the market is very, very volatile, very, very wild. Please be careful out there. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.